Hi, good evening, everyone. Tonight on Corporate Education Online, we are gonna have one of my favorite resource speaker. He will be talking about purposeful work, finding meaning, and excelling in your career. He is none other than Sir Nelson D, Assistant Vice President for Package World Inc., a transformative coach. He has published several books already, um, a trainer for communications and critical thinking, a public speaker, and he's also one of the Filipinos to follow on LinkedIn, a content creator and one of the top 100 Filipinos on LinkedIn. Without further ado, let me, uh, Sir Nelson, it's your turn now po. Go
Thank you
ahead.
very much, Bless. And hello, one and all. And thank you for sharing your evening with us.
Okay, I guess we'll go on and dive into the questions already, no, for tonight. Excited ako, Sir Nelson, with all the discussions that you're gonna give for that. Let's start with the personal discussions about your life. Tell us about your work and your personal life. So, meron ba siyang parang how would you call it? Meron ba siyang definitely there's going to be parang a combination or a purpose for both the personal and the career life. Go ahead.
On my day job, I run two factories, something
Wow.
like 250 people. It's in packaging. And it fits with my background as a chemical engineer. And then I have an MBA wherein I now have to marry both sides, wherein the technical
Wow.
and the personal
Mm-mm.
and the
Mm-mm.
business. And that point wherein it makes me fascinated on how to develop people, because you may have the best technology in the world, you may have the best machines, but if you don't have the best people, everything falls flat. So that led me to this journey wherein we try now to improve people, level up the talent, and that led me to be passionate about communication, critical thinking, coaching, and also that will lead the way to having people find their purpose.
That's good to hear, no? That there's a level with regard to communication, to people as well, and also you being an engineer. So, Sir Nelson, let's go dun sa part ng communication. Kasi 'di ba, very important ito with regard to the relationship of people within a company. So, can you tell us something about
A lot of things rise and fall on communication. The deadly thing is that one, we do not communicate our mission, our objectives to the company. And so what will happen
Oh.
is that people, they just go through the motion, or worse, they do the wrong thing. So top-down communication is very important. And we try to be as precise as possible. And also we communicate with people why they do it. That's a secret. We can always tell them the what, but they will appreciate it better. And the chances are less mistake, quicker results if we tell them the reason behind it. So that then, okay, now I understand, Sir Nelson. Okay, let's go do it.
Mhm. And so when that happens, how does that affect our communication inside our families or inside the environment of our the community where we are in?
The beautiful part about communication is that we can have shared values. If we're passionate about, let's say, respect, integrity, being mindful, being God fearing, that's where we now have the cohesion of the factory or the family or friendships. It all boils down to, are we on the same page? And that's where that communication has to be clear. For example, recently we talk about being honest. And then what we had is that when we had the factory problem, wherein people were trying to solve a problem, but not to the root cause. At least they're admitting. And so instead of lambasting them, okay, we show them, okay, we value openness, we value deep root cause analysis. So now let's not go here, but let's go here, wherein we now attack the root cause, remove the obstacle, and learn the lessons there. With that example, we model our values, whatever they would be.
Does that also apply inside our families and our environment? The one that you're sharing with us now with regard to the company, can we also apply that in our families?
The
And
answer is
how
yes.
do we, yeah, okay,
The
and
answer is yes. Sorry.
how do we more or less, sorry, how do we more or less, or what are the, if I'm because I'm thinking now, okay, how can I apply the things that you're sharing with me or with us with regard to my family? Are there steps or are there patterns that we need to look at?
All right. The common family problem would be friction. Okay.
Ah,
There's
yeah,
a spat.
yes.
I'm sure you know. And so one of the things I personally observe is this: what is my contribution to the problem? It's so easy to tell the spouse or the child, you're the one to make mistake, you're not listening, what's wrong with you? But I backtrack and say, okay, this is happening. Am I part of the problem? And it may be true sometimes. For example, I was not clear or I was impatient. I don't want to listen because I just want to make my point known. Never mind what's your point. When I do that, I step back and try to understand. And then hopefully I'll communicate that kind of behavior to the other party. And when we show them respect, they will respect us in return.
Yeah, respect is very important. And when we do that also in the companies where we work at or the clients that we work with, that's also important, right?
Yes. And that's
Okay.
where many leaders, they want to be loved. But I've
Yeah.
learned that it's better to be respected. And with respect comes love.
Oh, but which should come first? It's like the chicken and egg, right? So is it love or is it respect first?
Seek to be respected. And then when
Oh,
people respect you and they show that you are a person who cares, they will care for you in return.
yeah. I think that's what we're seeing in the community right now. And when we do this, the communication that we have, is there is there how do you use it to influence the people around you? Or how can I influence the people around me using communication?
People love to be heard, appreciated. They want to know that they are cared for, that they, at the very least, they exist. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a pitiful, miserable workforce if they felt that they're taken for granted or worse, exploited. So it's a matter now of us showing that we care by taking time. For example, every day, most of the time, I would
Mm-hmm.
also go management by one around. I just go around, not just check the machine, but also talk to people, pat them in the back, say good morning, good afternoon, kamusta. And so that connection is the one which will create the bonding, which you can also, by the way, do in the community. And so
Mm-hmm.
as people see your presence and they show that you show that you care for them, not something haughty. I'm the big boss. No, you better watch out for me. Better do what I say. Better not do something wrong. And so you appreciate what they do. You give a thumbs up. You give a pat in the back, and that really you'll be surprised. That boosts morale. Those simple acts, they mean a lot to them.
Sorry, I muted. I realized
Yeah,
that I muted
I thought there's
when I
something
saw
wrong.
you. All right. What is the role now or the purpose in shaping an authentic or compelling communication to drive um, or better communication between a boss and an employee? How do we do that? Uh, how do we come up with with a purpose or a relationship with regard to that one?
You know, that's a fantastic question. I would say, as a leader myself, I would first go on a position of learning. There's always something for me to learn. And I would admit I can be wrong. I don't have the monopoly of wisdom. In certain cases, yes, because I'm the one who is the expert here. But many times we show our vulnerable side and say, okay, here's my issue. I want to understand. Tell me what you think. Then I listen. And I listen, not interrupted, because many leaders, they just insist on their side. They don't listen. They impose. So that is a great start for leaders. We admit that there's still room for us to grow and learn. And that's why, Mr. Worker, Mr. Family Member, I still want to understand. Help me out here.
Oh, that's nice to hear. So there should be a good relationship between the worker and also the employer or the boss, right? And then how can I, as an individual or as a team member, integrate a purpose-driven communication strategy? Is there such a thing, a communication strategy with regard to speaking with each other?
Oh, first of all, if you say purposeful, you have to define what the purpose is. So,
Okay,
di ba? Because then
right.
if your purpose is something to build a learning culture or to implement psychological safety, that will be your purpose. So, for example, if we have that purpose, now my communication plan is like that, wherein we will have town hall meetings or we will have, let's say, suggestion boxes, and we really give them feedback on their feedback. We have kamustahan. We have also
Mhm.
what is called the focus group discussion, and we also do 360. So all these things will be supporting one of the objectives, which is to say we want to get to know each other in all honesty. Of course, there'll be anonymous communication, and then we want to learn. And from there on, people will hear that, hey, it's not like lip service, wherein we now have these particular strategies towards a certain end, and hopefully we can then have a virtual spiral, okay, virtual spiral, wherein now trust is multiplied, and we have
Yeah.
already collaboration.
Wow. That's nice to hear when everything, when all the strategies comes in, the collaboration comes in as well, right?
They have to first know that ultimately you have them in your heart. Basically, you have
Mhm.
their best interests, that you have their backs.
Yeah. And when I, as an employee, would feel very good if my employer or my boss is really at my back and taking care of me. And that's really going to be good as well. Um, Another question would be with regard to communication. How do we, as freelancers, communicate or should communicate with our clients? If you have a tip for that.
My number one tip for freelancers is to be curious, because many times we come in with preconceived notions. Say, okay, you need this, you need this, you need this, and chances are we sort of tune out to what the client really wants or really needs. For example, if we go to a client and say, you guys need sales training, and then we try to impose to you some sort of a sales mastery seminar, who knows? What the people really need would be confidence building, not skills. Wherein now you do maybe coaching or some confidence building exercises. So it's going to be curious now. I'm not going to take anything for granted. I would interview, let's say, the stakeholder. What do you need? What makes you say that? Okay, what would the success look like? So I'm very curious. I'm very curious. I'm very curious. And that's where we design the program rather than, oh, you need this. It's a structured program, then I'll just salpak to you and then just pay me.
So dapat talaga may structure, ano? There's a needs analysis with regard to before doing the program, right? Sir
Yeah.
Nelson.
Yes. And
Okay.
that's where you really have to go back to the statement of I cannot presume, I want to learn, help me out here.
And that's the role also of a leader who's guiding the employees, 'di ba? So from freelancing, if we go now to the employees and the employer or the boss, there should be a guidance, and there should be or the employer or the boss should ask what do you need or how can I help you? Kasama 'yan, tama no, Sir Nelson?
That's true. And
Mhm.
for example, when my operations head has a difficulty, I would tell him, okay, when you're emailing this guy, CC me, because I also lend my weight to push that supplier to give you what you need. Another thing would be like, if the guy says my operations head, for example, sir, we need to have this kind of a funding. I'll authorize it. And then if let's say there's something that will meet a CAPEX approval by XCOM, I'll be the one to pitch it for them. And then we will show support in tangible ways wherein we give them resource, whether it's training, transportation, even snacks for some sort of a problem-solving meeting.
Okay, sir. Sa totoo lang, no, nagsisimula pa lang tayo dalawa.
We're just warming up.
Yeah, we're warming up. I would like to know your topic, the purposeful work, finding meaning and in careers. And is there a career for a regular employee, and is there also a career for a freelancer? Unahin po muna natin yung parte ng employee.
Okay.
So, punta muna, kasi I just warmed up the whole thing, and now I would want to dig in na. Go ahead, Sir Nelson.
It's very insightful to know the difference between a job and a career. Okay, a job is a job. It's there. You do something, you get paid, put food on the table. A career is something that you pursue. It's almost close to a calling, wherein you are going to maximize your life by using the skills, talents, experiences, personality that God's given you to bring maximum benefit to people around you, to society. That will be career. Now, in one sense, the career for the freelancer is it sort of same. The only difference will be in a job, you are assured of a paycheck every 15th and 30th. In the freelancer, well, you're only as good as the clients you land, but it's the same. Because if my career, my calling is to help this client to become more, let's say, a better thinker, a better leader, a better communicator, that's also going to be my career. And in one sense, calling.
Okay. So, but how do I find meaning in the work that I do?
One of the ways I would tell people is that you live beyond yourself. If you
What
are
does
only
that mean?
yeah, if you are just there to earn money, to satisfy what you need, to buy the latest gadgets, to live a good life, it's okay. But it's like you'll feel that something's wrong somewhere. There's more to life. But if let's say you adopt a purpose that's bigger than you, that's where it's going to be more exciting. I'll give you an example. I talked to a medrec once, a medical representative, and you think it's one of those tough jobs. Okay, I'm going there to the hospital, knock on doors of the doctors, please buy my products, I'll meet my quota. If I don't meet my quota, I get so stressed out, I will not get my commission. But I met this medrep who said something like this: I'm not selling drugs, I am saving lives. That's revolutionary.
Yeah.
Because then that's his mission, that's his purpose. I'm not there just to fill some quota, satisfy my sales director. I'm here to help people become better, healthier, and therefore happier. More time with loved ones, less pain, human flourishing, extend life. And when that became her purpose, she looks forward to every day. Going to the doctor is not a burden. It's not going to be a pressure tactic. I just doing it out of sheer joy because I make an impact on people's lives. That's an example wherein then you want a job, whether it's accounting, sales, marketing, factory work. If you adopt a purpose that's bigger than yourself, that excites you, that's the one which will keep you going even through tough times.
And with that said, I would like to ask, what is your purpose in life? Or would you like to share with us? What are the things that comes to you when that word is asked of you?
First of all, we go through the process of how do you get your purpose. And this is I'll give a short theory. Identity shapes purpose. So people say, start with your passion. Well, maybe not. People also say, Simon Sinek says, start with why. But I will go deeper. We start with who. Because who I am will dictate what I love to do, what I'm passionate about, and my purpose. So the way I would say it is I am a champion of ideas And it so happened that my skill set is that I love to speak, to write, to teach people. And so if you'll see my LinkedIn, it is with the headline, I help people communicate great ideas. Later, we can talk about how we go to the process, but that is my purpose. It's to be a champion of ideas.
And now I would also like to ask, how did you start up, or what was your journey being in in that purpose, in that mission? I'd like to know how you started and to where you are right now.
It's like when I was growing up, I was a nerd, I was an introvert. I love American comic books. And believe it or not, when I was young,
Wow.
I drew my own comic books. I wanted to be a
Wow.
writer, yeah. But I got to be practical, and I noticed I also have a knack for engineering. So I took
Mm-hmm.
up engineering, right, because I love science and math. But that dream of being a writer never went away because I even wrote something for the school newspaper. And then when I lost my job for 2 long years, I journal left and right. And so that sparked again my love for communicating, wherein we have ideas, insights, some of them which the world needs to hear. And then even when I got back to my career as a factory manager, then later as an ABP, that dream of writing and speaking blossomed. Okay. And I had my 12 published books, talks here and there. And that became my, in effect, what you call side hustle, and that's part
Uh-huh.
of my freelance life. So it's like a journey wherein you start with what you love doing, and then it the call gets louder and louder. It's an itch that will never go away until you finally nurture it and you find that it loves you back. And meantime, you keep your day job.
So what started as a side hustle is now also helping you, also nurtured you.
Yes, it's one of the joy of being creative. Some people are like this. They enjoy making something out of thin air, whether it's a book, whether it's a talk, a podcast, or even let's say this webinar. And the joy is multiplied when they see
Yeah.
that there's a benefit to the audience. The audience would become better people because they took time with you. And that will be the joy that keeps us going, especially also for freelancers, wherein we are there not for ourselves. Because remember, the purpose should be bigger than us. And if we embrace
Yes.
the goodness of the overall good, that gives us meaning. That gives us fulfillment. Even when you think your job is boring or stressful or problematic.
Okay. With all the things that you've said, how do you balance both the creative and also the engineering part or the math part? So I'm kind of puzzled. How do
Ah,
you do it? Yeah.
okay, then you attend my critical thinking course. It's a balance of, well, people would know this. I'll toss some technical terms. You have to be like divergent thinking and convergent thinking. But basically, it's
Mm-hmm.
like this: you know how to switch your brain from left to right,
Okay.
right to left.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to address an issue, you start with data, okay? But then after the data, you can then let your mind free and say, okay, what can we do to make things better? What are the obstacles? And therefore, what can we do to work around it? It's like, I'll give you an example. This is a point wherein one of our machines keeps breaking down. And then we have technicians, they will take forever to find out where is the problem. And
Mm-hmm.
then my operations manager says, in Japan, they have this software you just put on your laptop, you take it, and the screen will show you where it is malfunctioning. For us,
Mm-hmm.
it's hit and miss. For them, it's high tech. So I asked them, okay, the data shows that we're suffering so and so downtime because of the machine breakdown. And we have analyzed that majority is this, this, this. Now, how can we make it better and faster? Sir, if only we have the Japanese technology. So this is where now creative thing comes in. Okay, what if we simply ask that software from the Japanese guy? Sir, they'll never give it to us. Why? It's proprietary, it's confidential. Creative
Mm-hmm.
thinking. So we'll sign an NDA. And the Japanese guy said, okay, as long as you keep it confidential, okay, and then we'll have this contract signing, we'll share with you the program, and voila, we have the same technology, and now production downtime has been cut by 80% because now we have the same high-tech thing wherein we'll be able to find the problem. But it took that kind of a creative thinking to say outside the box, beyond what you're doing, to say now we're able to do it faster and better.
So you're able to balance it because of doing using both the right and the left brain, right?
Yes,
The critical thinking.
yes. People think that critical thinking means that you're so rigid, but actually a part of it also is that you now have to think of ways outside the box wherein what else can you do? You look for ways wherein you can reduce something, reverse something, adapt something, beg, borrow, steal something. So that is where part of the problem solving comes in. And by the way, that is where a lot of listening comes in. I go back to the purpose of the
Yeah.
leader. We have to learn. Because if I am the messiah of the factory or the company, I am the one with the answers. I'm the miracle worker.
Yes.
You follow what I say. Well, nothing much will happen. But then I have to trust my people that they can be smarter than me. That's the thing. And for leaders,
Yeah.
that can be hard on your ego. Because then that's like saying that I'm admitting that you're smarter than me. But I don't mind because everybody wins. I learn, you have your job easier, the factory makes more, earns more, the bosses are happy, everybody wins.
Yeah. Does that also apply in your work right now when you hire individuals that are much more intelligent than you are? Do you do that as well?
That is true. And I'll give you one tip. Okay, especially if you're the employer who's interviewing candidates or if you're job applicant. And people call it behavioral interview.
Yeah.
And I actually did this pre-pandemic. A guy, or let's say there are 5 people who applied for the position of operations head. And I would ask them one question. Tell me of an actual story wherein you have a problem and you solve it. Now, many people will give you just the theoretical. Oh, sir, we're supposed to do this, do this. No, 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 no. I don't want to hear what should be done. What actually happened in your last job? And, I had 5 people, only one gave an example. And guess what? That's the guy I hired. And he blossomed because then it was clear that he was practical, he was creative. He also knows how to organize numbers. His critical thinking is the one that dictates where are we going to focus. But then in terms of solutions, he can be quite creative.
Yeah. So during an interview, you already see the potential of an individual. So how do we apply the leadership or the transformational leadership in this aspect? When you see an applicant that, oh, he has a potential, so I can hire him. How do we now apply the transformational leadership that you have or that you can teach?
Oh, now we're in the realm of transformational leadership or coaching. It starts with people who are hungry to grow and improve. I hesitate to use coaching for people with problems, okay? I'll rather deal with the hungry people, those who are open-minded. And what we do is like this. There are 2 possibilities. I want to grow, but something's holding me back. And for transformational leadership, it's to identify what will be those self-limiting beliefs, challenge those beliefs, flip them, for example, or replace them with even better thinking. That's one. Because of that, the person has changed. What he thought will be oh, I'm no good, I'm not clever enough, he may change to something, I can always learn. Just give me the proper resources, time, opportunity, feedback. I can blossom. Voila, he's transformed. The other thing would be wherein he wants to grow and he's the aggressive one, and it's good. So now we're going to have, okay, when you want to grow to this direction, what do you mean by that? Because clarity is important. It's not just, I want to be a better worker. What does that even mean? How better is this better? And if possible, what would the metrics? So then when you now have that goal, we now talk about what's important for you, and
Yeah.
then what would you be your action point. Do you need to have a mentor? Do I need to bring you to this seminar? Do I even have to bring in a consultant and then you learn from him or her? So those transformational principles would be essentially to change the guy's mindset from negative to positive, from whatever is you thought cannot be done to whatever is possible, and to expand your view about yourself. Then what happens is that
Okay.
tomorrow you're better than yesterday. Can you imagine if such a guy will blossom? And by the way, we do have people like that, and we promoted them. And that's another story
Yes.
wherein we show them we value your progress. And because of that, people are engaged. And in many cases, they stay.
Yeah. And when an individual is already engaged and has blossomed, is there a timeline that you give? Like in the part of HR, we would normally do is there's a timeline, like 5 months, 6 months. If you're not good, goodbye. But how about in the area of the operations in freelancing, if that applies at all?
You're asking about the freelancing aspect?
Yes, the one, the freelancing, and then later on probably as an employee, if that person has blossomed. My question now is, um what are the is there a timeline? Is there a time, like a 5 months time? Do we write it down, or do we ask a person that, okay, on this 5 months, if you do not make it, then we say goodbye to you? Because in HR, that's what we do. How about in the operations part or in the freelancing part?
For operations part, unless it's something really, really bad, failure after 6 months can mean dismissal. Because of course we have
Yeah.
to show dole, etc., that we gave the
Yeah.
guy every opportunity, right? But in our
Yes.
case, it's more like skills development,
Yeah.
leadership
Mhm.
potential development. And so by definition, if let's say at the end of the 6 months, it's not quite there, but it's not going to merit him to be dismissed. So it's more like we recalibrate, then we
Mhm.
see what else can we do for you. But basically,
Mhm.
it's like this. There are probably two things. One, everything has to be defined upfront. At the end of
Okay.
6 months, what should happen, especially if it is observable behavior. Is this
Yeah.
guy a better team player? Is this guy showing more initiative, more ingenuity? At the very least, is the guy no longer late or absent? So when that happens, you have all your clear metrics. Then we go to the action steps, and then we do
Mhm.
the check-ins the first month, the third month, the fifth month, the sixth month. And that gives you plenty of time that you can do course correction so that the chances of the failure at the 6 month is much lessened. Now, if let
Mhm.
us say, if it's skills development on a scale of 1 to 5, we want you to become a 4 and you still are a 3.5, we'll still accept you and then say, okay, the next step, what will it take for the next, let's say an extension of 3 months? We now bring you to a 4. In freelance,
Mhm.
actually, I wonder if you mean a freelance person trying to improve himself or trying to improve his
Yeah.
client. Which one?
Um, a freelancer trying to improve his plan. Like,
His.
like, let's say, okay, I'm a freelancer and I want to see whether I'm gonna survive or
Ah,
be able to do the things that I'm supposed to do and be a better person, or do the things that my client needs. And because at the end of the day, it's ROI, right? It's the return of investment that my client is waiting for that. So what happens if I fail? Like if the let's say the contract is 6 months, and on the fourth month I'm not doing things right.
mm.
I'm under delivering. So I think that's the term. I'm under delivering. I'm not able to deliver the things that I said to my client. So
Oh,
should there be a timeline, or should I adjust it, or how do I do it? Because as a freelancer, of course, we are also leaders and we want to know how do we go about it? How do I become a transformational leader as well? If that's even possible.
Well, generally, if you have a timeline with a client, I think you're supposed to follow it. And if there are any delays or deviations, we have to find out why.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, okay, you're free to renegotiate the timeline, okay, because of this, because of that. But I would say probably you'd rather stick to your timetable
Mhm.
and find creative solutions to go back on track. I know it's a general statement, but I never had a particular problem. For example, I'm now coaching somebody and it's for 8 sessions.
Mhm.
And you think that at session 2, she should be like this, session 4, like this, like this. But we keep a very flexible flow of topic. We know there's
Mhm.
8. At the back of my mind, I have an idea where you should be at session 8. But I'm not panicking if, let's say, right now in session 4, you're not yet there. But
Not yet
I like
there.
to address what's holding you back at session 5. And then we're going to now see if we can fast track some of your mind change and also your self learning so that then there's greater chance of success by the time we get to session 8. The other thing is that if I am the one performing, it's also like calling for help because one of the things many people would hesitate to do, I'm drowning here. Can you, well, not to the client, can you also help me, give me some advice? That's where you can have also people to mentor you, coach you, or at least advice. That's what I would recommend.
And now that you've mentioned your coaching, can you also bring us to that journey on how you started thinking of um getting your training for coaching, and why do you want to do coaching for people?
In the first place, I am on legacy mode. I just
Mm-hmm.
went past 60. And so I would love to leave an impact in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I love being an instrument that somebody got better because of me. Okay, that's a general statement. That's a
Yeah.
clue to also to my purpose. And my love affair with coaching began when, let's say, in about 2018, Cerely Alcuaz of ITD, you may have
Mm-hmm.
heard of
Yes,
her.
yes,
Yeah.
certainly. Yeah.
She gave a workshop at our company for 2 days coaching mentoring. I was hooked because I saw the potential. It's one thing for me, the leader, to tell you what to do, but now it's another thing to say, okay, I like to listen. My role is to ask questions, and I want to tap into your Mr. Worker, Mr. Employee, Mr. Staff, your innate ingenuity because who knows, you will have better ideas and solutions than I do. And also, when I hear you wanting to be a better person, I want to know how I can help you. And that's where the coaching comes in. And it's not just the grow model. It's like, okay, what do you do? It's also like, I want to see inside your head and say, okay, what's holding you back? Oh, there are no opportunities. Oh, no, I have no backer. Oh, the people above, they have to die first before I go up. No, 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 no. Change all that. What can you do? Okay. So that's now where I love to coach people, but first it's like informal. But when I wanted to shift to a coaching career, then I had to have professional certification, and that's the one I had already. And it's quite useful because I learned a lot from that academy, which I said, okay, I wish I learned this 5 years ago, and that led me to a wonderful adventure.
So are you okay, now that you're saying that it's already an adventure, I'd like to know how do you manage your time? You're a coach, you're a writer, and then you're also an AVP. How do you manage your time with all of these activities that's happening in your life?
Okay, here's the secret.
Okay.
Don't tell
I'd
my
like to
boss.
know that secret. Yeah.
Don't tell my boss. The secret is that in your day job, you should have trusted lieutenants so that instead of working 8 hours, you can work for 6. The extra two
Mm-hmm.
hours that you can do your other stuff. Because at the end, I reached the stature. Remember, I'm assistant vice president. Wherein,
Yes.
as long as I deliver the results, and my boss is very open minded, that in the 6 hours, if I deliver, the other 2 hours, there's mine. And then I can use it to write a blog. I can use that to have a one-on-one Zoom coaching, even having this discussion. So the
Yeah.
clue is this. have good people. And then you can let go. They'll mind the store better than you, and you open another store.
That's nice to hear. So now I'm seeing the transformational leadership as well, right? Okay, now we're done with that part. I'd like to look at the journey that you have with the top 100. How did it all started? Can you tell us the story about it?
A lot of friends nominated me for the top 100. I think that was 2021, no?
Yes.
And yeah, and I was thinking, okay, it's there and it's good. Then lo and behold, I got to be, I think, number 28 or
Yes.
something like that. Yes. And I was thinking, wow, I never thought I'll be able to achieve that. It's like I was looking at all those other people like, these are fantastic people. How I really admire them and how I wish I can be like them. And then all of a sudden, I'm into their circle. And thanks to you, Bless and Virginia Bautista, and was thinking, this is like an extra spice in my life wherein now I get to meet these amazing people because remember, I love to learn. And now all of a sudden, thanks to the top 100, I have more resources to tap,
Mhm.
more people to ask. And yes, I will not say who they are. You know who you are.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
those are my mentors now. And so I see them and I'm all the more rich and fulfilled. And what I love to do would be to give back. And that's why you also see that I'm active in posting LinkedIn. I try to
Yes.
share something which is from Spice of Life, some reflection, something like to help you become a better communicator or critical thinker or leader. It's the way I would try to enrich the community because at the end, we all want to enrich one another. And
Yeah.
you'll notice that there's an exponential effect. It's like people now become, they seem to explode in terms of fulfillment and effectiveness. And that's what we all want in this community.
Yeah. And I'm seeing the effectiveness already. Now, I would like to know, um, I've seen the benefits and you're sharing it with us also. And thank you for um the next question that I have is, are there things that you would like to share with the community aside from writing, aside from coaching? Are you also building a community right now, or is there already a community where you belong to and you are continuing or starting to build?
If you're talking about building a tribe, I think you call it, not yet there, because I'm at a stage right now wherein I like to join a community where I can give, not just take. Okay, you know, there are
Okay.
takers, there are
Yes.
givers. So
Yes.
I learned it from Doreen Cooper. If you're listening, hi, I learned this from you. Join an organization where you can give value to. I love it. And so that's why I try to do it, let's say, in my company, my church, let's say also in this LinkedIn community, wherein it's when you give, and this is the paradox, the more you empty yourself, the more fulfilled you are. And that's the one which will give us great joy.
Yeah. And aside from that, how is the community in Boris for Kids
Yeah,
community,
the
BFJ
BFJ.
community? Yeah, the BFJ um community. Can you tell us about it?
You know,
How
it's
you
like
started with the community?
BFJ started it, Boris started it, and of course I
Yeah.
said, wow, okay, I saw the potential. And I was there when he made the first, I think it's like a launch of the community. And it's like striking gold. Okay. So it's like a gold mine. Okay. It's like you're in this five-star buffet of
Mm.
genius, of passion, of expertise. And it's like, wow. Okay. So it's more like I jump in and also eager to see what's there. And I'm glad to have made new friends. And it's more like if people say, I need a trainer here, I ask advice here, we jump in. And that's where also we have this kind of mutual enrichment, the one I described. And I look forward to that BFJ. Kudos to Boris for engineering that, for it to become an even greater force for advancement.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, right? No. Uh, can you, we're almost done. Would you like to give a message to Sir Boris about the things that has helped you or has nurtured you in the community, in the BFJ educators community?
Actually, I met Boris way back when I published my first book. He knows
Mhm.
the history. Okay, so it's a Christian publishing firm where he was VP marketing. And this is what I really admire about Boris. Okay, he's a servant. Even way before he was spearheading servant leadership,
Mm.
he was a servant. And there was a time when we had to go to this radio station in Valenzuela. I think it's Valenzuela. He was driving, BP, and he was driving
BP.
me because I had to have a radio interview to plug my first book. And the interview itself was about what? I don't know, 15, 30 minutes? Okay, maybe an hour. That distance and going back, that's how really showing sacrificial love. Okay. And I'm so glad that God rewarded him. So, Boris, if you're listening, you are an inspiration for all of us. Your selflessness is undisputed. Your love for Jesus is contagious. So we do hope that we can find a way to support you even further. And that's where I'm very sure for your case, Boris, the best is yet to come.
Okay. Now I would like you to give a message to Miss Virginia Bautista because I know if she's not listening right now, she's gonna see and watch this recording because that's what we do. After the recording or our live stream, we normally share it to her right ahead. So can you share something and tell something or whatever to Miss Virginia?
Virginia, I can tell you straight, my wife Lucy and I, she's on the other room. Almost every morning, we pray for you. Okay. We have a lot of people who need healing, and you're one of the lists wherein we ask God to heal you. Okay. Restore your faculties and restore the years that locusts have eaten. That's a biblical passage wherein all those losses, all
Mhm.
those tragedies, God will compensate. And we do hope that in due time, you also meet the biggest blessing of all, God Himself. So we do hope you'll find your solace and hope in God through Jesus Christ. And then we do hope to see a miracle wherein we see you again in the same room, you know, back to health, not just back to health, better than before.
That's so nice to hear. Now I would like to go to the book.
Oh,
I would like you to tell us about the book. I'm excited about the book, actually. I want you to say something about it. I don't want to say something about it because I'm excited that you're going to share something about the book.
all
Can
right.
you share it with us, Sir Nelson?
All right. So the book is this all there is? This one? Okay, there you are. I hope you can see it.
Mhm.
It's from Anvil Publishing. Anvil Publishing is like the publishing arm of National Bookstore, the one with Ramos. And what happens is that this started from a journey wherein what is my purpose? My purpose. And
Mhm.
then how can I help other people to find their purpose? Because here's the concept. Many people are unhappy with their careers. Why? They're bored, they're mediocre, because they've not have a life purpose that will give meaning to that work, to the career. So that's where now you have to find your life purpose, the one that's bigger than you, the one which is consistent with your design, your passion, and your advocacy. And this book gives you several chapters of how to do it. And that's part one. Part two is this. It also helps you how to sustain your purpose. Because here's the reality. There are many starters but few finishers. And this book can help you. And so I'm so glad to have partnered with Anvil, and we're working on, let's say, other book projects. I'm thinking now what they would be. And it's like I said, it's the joy of having all those experiences. And instead of you're dead and they all die with you, you share it, whether it's through a blog or to a podcast or a book, because then they can go to places that you'll never go to, and they'll be there even way after you're gone. And that's also one of our gifts to the community.
Sir Nelson, is it possible for us to get like do you have a presentation like a 1 or 2 page that we can more or less see what's inside your book? Is it
All right.
possible? Yeah,
Sure. And
that would
then
be
I
nice.
hope that there is a share slide feature. Okay. Let me give you this thing. Okay. So hopefully, wait, I stopped share. They clicked the wrong thing. All right. So this is the one. And if there's a parting gift I have for you, it is this. Now, some of you may know Simon Sinek, his golden circle. The center is the why. I submit to you is that you start with who. Who you are is the one that drives what you do. That's your purpose. And then how you do it is what people see. And that's why a good question is, so what do I do now? Many people ask that. What do I do with my life? Tell me, Nelson, Guru Nelson, what is the meaning of life? Okay, wait. A better question is, what is my life all about? And a great question is, who am I? Because here's the concept. A weak identity will make you absorbed with yourself and unable to maximize your life. Have you imagined people who are so depressed or pitying themselves, I'm no good, etc.? They tend to try to make themselves fulfilled, sometimes in a bad way. Worse, they make other people miserable. But if you have a great identity of yourself, it'll give you a great purpose and thus it'll give you a great life. This will be my key concept for you in one of my slides, wherein when you want to find a great purpose, when you have a great career, it starts with first, who do you see yourself to be? I'm a champion of ideas. A baker can be, like, say, a nourisher of life. A lawyer, I'm the voice for the defenseless. A teacher, I'm a shaper of young minds. So when you have that mindset, I am not just Nelson D. I am somebody which will be, regardless of what I do, whether I succeed or not, that's my identity and that's what my life will be all about.
Very profound and very deep. The things that you've shared with us is really amazing, and we thank you for that. Where can we reach you? Social media pages where we can write or send you a message.
I can be reached at LinkedIn, the message. I also have a YouTube channel. It's at Nelson TD. Okay, so part of my talks, especially the one with Louis Banta, I give every third Thursday talks. They're there, they're curated. So my Sunday messages are there, and I will have shorts and reels. So that's one. Of course, I can also be reached through my email, nelsontd.com@gmail.com. So that's where the best way you can reach me would be, of course, in this one, LinkedIn. And then, of course, my email. Don't forget also, you can also reach me at my Facebook. But essentially, I love to have a conversation because, like I said, there's a lot of things I can learn from you. And all the more, when we learn together, we become wiser, happier, and a lot more impactful.
Any more parting message aside from the social media pages that you've shared with us?
It's more like I said that I'm age 60, and it's like it's never too late to learn and to accomplish. And for those of you who are half my age, chances are you guys in the audience, you're half my age, how I envy you, because then you have a lot more information at your fingertips. You have a lot more opportunity. Yeah, I know that, let's say, times can be tough. There are challenges also which may not be there in my generation. But here's one thing. The parting word I can give is this. Remember, I said that for you to have a great purpose, it has to be higher or bigger than yourself. What can be bigger than God Himself? And so, therefore, my real purpose is this. My identity is I'm a child of God. No matter what happens to me, even if, let's say, I got sick with a paralyzing disease. Even though everything in my projects fall flat, my identity as a beloved child of God is secure. And because of that, all the things that I do will be meant to serve Him and trying to help people become what God wanted to be. And so that's my parting word. Always keep in mind, it is not true that you have the end in mind. You should have the eternity in mind. And therefore, the time to do that, to have a wonderful future, wonderful eternity begins today.
Thank you very much for that. This is such a very nice night, a very good weekend as well. So there you have it, everyone. We have Sir Nelson D, the AVP of Package World. And again, he's a transformative coach, a published author, trainer, public speaker. And so if you need him, you can always go back to this video on YouTube. And then you can always go back to his LinkedIn. So there you have it for tonight. Happy weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
weekend. God bless you.